Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick here, dropping in on you. Hope everybody's doing okay. First and foremost, thank you, everybody, for the love and support you've shown me over the last few months. It's been kind of challenging, but I appreciate it. Also, we're in the midst of a fundraiser for the work that we do at the Odyssey Project, which is community related in one way or another. Everything from socialization programs, which is so important to understand who we are, how we move, and what we need to be and do in this world. And we suffer when we don't socialize our children. They suffer, the community suffers, and so many others. So the work we do, from the research that has been conducted over the last 30 years, from the program development, from the execution of programs, to the one-on-one cases that I actually take on my dime. The work is necessary, and we will continue to do the work, but we would definitely love to have your support. For those of you who have followed me for any stretch of time, you know what we do. By the time I finish this video, some more of you will understand what I do. You just look at the YouTube channel for The Black Voice. That's almost 2,000 videos of content that's empowering, that's educational, that's instructional, informative, and so much more. There's work that we do in the community, but we need to organize and unify. I can't stress that enough. I talk about that almost every day. What I want to do here is talk about something that is on the surface, the oh my God, wow, why type thing. And I've told you why. I've done the research. I can tell you why there's so much going on, and the things we don't understand, the mechanisms we don't understand, and the dangers that are out there lurking in places that we don't think they exist is a problem. One of the problems that we have as a community is that we don't understand how things work. When you don't understand how things work, people who do understand how things work will take advantage of you. You will be manipulated. You will be misguided, misdirected. You will have your gifts and your resources and your talents exploited. And we see this in so many different areas. I've written on it in great detail, publishing over 25 books, over 1,000 academic articles, and thousands upon thousands of prose articles, probably close to 10,000 total videos, interviews, and so many more. And I'm still going because there's a lesson. When I started doing this, I told you, I'm not here for the pats on the back. I'm not here for anybody to validate me. I've invested in myself enough over the past 35 years of my adult life to know who I am. So I don't need anybody to tell me. I don't need anybody to confirm it. But what I am going to do is I'm going to spend my life doing the best I can to empower people, especially my people, and to show them the things that I know that may be able to help them. Now, here we are with this BBL thing again. I've talked about this, and it's a very complex dynamic, because you have to understand where it originates. You have to understand the drive behind it. You have to understand how subtle and nuanced the propaganda that pushes it is. And so you will be the person trying to help, and you will be designated as the enemy if you're not real careful. Now, me personally, I don't care about being an enemy. What I do care about is the truth. You have to be a person willing to speak truth to power, even when the truth is not popular. I've talked about BBLs for a while. Here's my thing. I have no problem with a person wanting to improve themselves. I don't have a problem with a person selectively and cautiously choosing some invasive measures. And when I say invasive, I'm talking about surgical procedures. When it is called for, or in certain extremes, people getting gastric bypass surgeries, the surgeries where they do things to limit the amount of food or intake you can have. And this is on extreme measures. These people are normally 400 plus pounds over their ideal weight, and somewhere in that area. So there are in that case, there may be a necessity to expedite weight loss for health reasons and even safety reasons. When it comes to aesthetics, again, I'm not here to body shame anybody, but I push for health. And I was a person that got extremely overweight. I'm saying extremely, 50 pounds overweight, and had to lose it. And I did. But I did it all healthy. I didn't take any supplements to do anything to mess with my heart, because being overweight had caused me to have a heart attack. So I couldn't do that if I wanted to, but I did it. And being in the health and fitness field, the first business I ever started, anybody knows me knows that one of the things I do is I teach people how to start businesses, because I've started so many. But the first business I ever started was Stay Fit Fitness and Training. That is now Master Fitness 21. It is still going. It's like this little pet thing I have now. I can't let it go, because it marks the beginning of something that has been an unbelievable journey for me. But at the same time, it has cataloged my journey from going from being a fitness instructor, a personal fitness instructor, to being a researcher, program developer, and working with some of the top nutritionists and trainers in the world to help people. And that's what I do now. I don't do any personal training. I ain't trying to train nobody anymore. But I definitely have a referral service. I connect people. And I only work with the best. And I can tell you that what a lot of women are risking their lives to do can be accomplished in the gym. Not with and the whole thing is, the idea of getting a surgery, it's trendy, what it seems to be to me, but it's also propaganda driven. It's also coming from a lack of self-awareness and self-esteem. And here's the reason why I say that. Not because you want to look that way. If you see some way and you say, man, I want to look that, it's no different than me looking at a guy and saying, man, that chest development is what it's about. I want to develop. So I get that, but I'm not going to go get chest implants. I'm going to get in the gym and I'm going to do it. And my chest probably won't look exactly like his, because genetically there are slight variations that's going to change it, body makeup and so much more. I understand that, but I can achieve so much in that gym with proper lifting, proper focusing, and you can sculpt in so many ways. There's a guy by the name of Luther Freeman. He's married to a person named Kathy Drayton. When he met Kathy, she was like this. And it took several years, but he sculpted her until now she went through this process of being skinny, starting to develop, becoming extremely muscular, and then softening it out and becoming voluptuous. Now, I do believe she did some enhancements on her breasts or whatever. That's something that you can't get in the gym. But other than that, it all happened. Again, it took time, but the journey is what's so sweet about it. Here's the problem. The health risk. Everything is about measuring risk. There's this thing called calculated risk. What is a calculated risk? A calculated risk is saying, okay, this is what I stand to gain. This is what I stand to lose. How much more are my potential gains versus my potential risk? And it should be a significant amount of possibility. And what I'm finding is, when I look into this in my research, is that BBL surgery is some of the most dangerous invasive procedures you can go under. It is way up there in danger, just in a procedure. Now, this is when it's performed by a licensed professional who has the experience and the wherewithal to do it. A lot of people are opting for the cheaper version by leaving the US, where medicine is regulated, where at the very worst, you can sue your doctor for malpractice. You can be reimbursed by a hospital if they do it at a hospital, or if they do it on their own. There's a way to at least hold them accountable so they're less likely to make mistakes because their livelihood is tied to it. But people are going to a number of different places, especially the DR, where these doctors are not going to be held accountable, where it is a hustle. And there are certain doctors that are racking up body counts like it's crazy. People are going there and not coming home on a regular basis. That should be a problem. That should be an alarm sounder. But what we're not talking about is something else that popped on my desk today. And I saw this, and it took me back to a story I heard a couple of years ago. There's a young lady who went to the DR for a BBL, came back, started experiencing some complications, and ended up going to the doctor and realized that she had had a kidney removed. Now, I'm no surgeon, but I do have a background in biomechanics and kinesiology and all the stuff I had to learn to train. So I'm pretty aware how they pull that off, and you not know it. I don't know. But here's the problem. Once you go underneath anesthesia, even if they're doing it in a way that it's obvious that they did something outside of what they said they were going to do. Now, what you understand is when you're doing liposuction and you're doing butt implants and hip implants and all the other stuff that comes along with that, fat reposition, whatever it is, when they take the fat and they move it to other areas and all the stuff that they're going to do this, there's so much danger. People die from liposuction. Complications of liposuction. You're talking about doing something far more complicated, far more invasive. And what happened is she's coming home. Now she only has one kidney. And from what I understand, this isn't an abstract situation. This is coming. What it's called is called organ harvesting. And what they're doing is they're coming over, giving you these unbelievable rates on something they know you want to get you over there. Then they're taking an organ and a kidney, since you have two of them, they'll take one and you can come home alive. And that's better than the ones that are over there dying. But just imagine how many of them that died over there that ended up having their organs harvested. Organ harvesting is a huge industry globally. And you are putting yourself at risk when you go to places where your government has no control and no authority to govern what's happening there. And that these doctors are making money hand over fist. And I'm pretty sure there's a great deal of political corruption where the people who should be holding them accountable aren't, because they're bringing money into a struggling economy. That's the danger side of this thing. The danger side of this thing is that our women are feeling the need to go over into a place where they're not safe and have a very unsafe procedure done for the sake of aesthetics. Now let's talk about psychocybernetics. Let's talk about the causality in front of it, something that I've written about, studied about, and went to great deals. If you've ever read my 19th book, I've written 25 that are full length. Full length to me is 200 pages or more. So I've written 25 books of 200 pages or more. Born in Captivity is my 19th book. The subtitle of Born in Captivity is Psychopathology as a Legacy of Slavery. And one of the legacies of slavery is the lack of an identity crisis, a need to be identified outside of oneself. That also comes from our inability to effectively and properly socialize our children. What does that mean? In a proper pattern of socialization in the home, growing up, you have a mother and father in the home, and what you do is you sit up and you tell the kid they're smart, they're capable, they have the wherewithal to understand and learn and do. You build their confidence by telling them what's possible, what they can do. You tell the young girl she's beautiful. You tell the young boy he's handsome. You tell them they're smart. You consistently instill this in them so that they have an identity. So by the time they move into the world where the world starts to challenge them, they're not broken by the challenges. They're not broken by opinions. They're not broken by erroneous assessments of who they are. They understand who they are. They know who they are. The problem with us is that we've been being defined by an alien concept and philosophy for generations. We have been guided and hovered over by the Eurocentric idea of what is, and why I will say that the BBL is definitely not a Eurocentric development. The funnel through which we are being fed the idea that we need to look that way is. It's what's defining. Now, it's not, it's, for a long time, it was the Eurocentric idea of what's beautiful. Now it's the media assessment of what's beautiful and what's driving the need for all of us to look alike. And the thing is, the beauty about life is your uniqueness, the thing that you bring to the world that nobody else has. And yet we are being driven to look like a specific image because they've given value to it. This is what happens when there's an identity crisis. The identity crisis says, I don't know who I am. And there is a natural internal yearning to know and to know oneself. And if I don't know who I am, I'm looking to other people to tell me. I'm looking to people to tell me who I am. And there's a natural social force that says there is value in being declared beautiful for females. And there are other things driving our men. Our boys are just as worse off. It's just in a different vein. Now, talking about this because we're dealing specifically with this young lady who is now without a kidney. And here's the thing. There's this natural force that's pushing that says that there's value in being declared beautiful, in your pulchritude, in your external presentation of who you are. There's a value in being declared beautiful. And so now I need to determine what I believe to be value. So I've been told that who I am now isn't beautiful. And you got to understand that in order for that to happen, there has to be some things missed. And it doesn't mean that you didn't get it in home all the time. Sometimes you've gone through enough that you start to question, why am I always being treated this way? Why am I always being mishandled? Why can't I find a man to do this? Or why is it that only a certain type of man? And so you start to say, well, maybe it's. And then you start looking for answers outside of yourself, when the truth is the answers are always inside. While your pulchritude will draw men to you, it's going to be the internal things about you that determine the type of men that get closest to you and that are able to see beyond what's on the outside. See, there has to be an ability to look beyond what is on the surface. The surface is great. Pulchritude is great. The idea of being externally attractive is a good thing, especially men are visual. So they are drawn to that. But I'm telling you that if you ever been young or you're still young and you've been out in the club, there's always been this girl who did not fit the definition of what's beautiful. And she pulling them and everybody's looking. Maybe she, doesn't have the facial features that everybody thinks is beautiful. Maybe she doesn't have the complexion that everybody thinks is beautiful. And we got colorism, so we're going to be honest on this conversation. So maybe she doesn't have that. Maybe she's a heavy set girl. And yet why? Somebody forgot to tell her she wasn't gorgeous. Somebody forgot to tell her she wasn't all of that. Somebody got to tell. There's a level of confidence, there's energy emitting from her that she knows something about herself that the person looking from an outside can't see. And that's the thing we should be instilling in our children. That's the thing that our girls need to grow up. And let me tell you something. It's not me just sitting up. I'm not here to tell anybody how they should look. What I'm here to tell you is you should love yourself enough not to harm yourself trying to meet somebody else's image that they've convinced you is your idea, because that's what media does. Propaganda is a beast. I've been talking about it, teaching about it for decades. If you don't believe in me, maybe you'll believe Edward Bernays wrote a book about propaganda way back in 1933. Maybe you believe a black brother who ran the largest black-owned media advertising and PR firm in the world, Tom Burrell. He wrote a book called Brainwashing, and talking about how the industry and the media is used constantly to create an inferiority complex in blacks. I'm not talking about something just because I feel like talking. I'm telling you, I have invested my life to understand things, because not understanding is how we get caught up. Our failure to understand how things work, how they're moving. We know we don't feel right about things they do. We know we don't feel comfortable with things they do, but we don't understand how they're doing it and why they're doing it. We just know that we end up doing things. And then we sit up and talk on the back end, oh my God, shaking my head. I can't believe, but we don't take time to understand it. I've given volume after volume. This is book number 23 is back around here somewhere. And it's undoing the African-American mind. Again, we're talking about how we are programmed to hate ourselves, how we are programmed to not look at the beauty. They're study trying to become us, but they've got us chasing ghosts. Because, see, there's a level of understanding and knowledge about self that is so empowering. There's a certain level of knowledge and understanding about self that liberates. There's a certain understanding and knowledge about self that takes us to places that we can't be touched, and they don't want us there. They're constantly pushing the inferiority narrative. They show us the worst of ourselves. You would think that there are no good black men, no men that take care of their children, no men that know how to love, no black men that know how to love women. Why? Because they're never going to present that as a common theme or narrative. They're going to always present the person that's harming the black woman. They're going to always present the person who's mistreating and being misogynistic. They give praise and reward young brothers for making music that degrade and demean black women. Why? Because that's the image they want to project. They want to project a level of disrespect. Why? Because in that, there is a level of behavior and a type of behavior that comes out of it. The idea that there are men out there that are actually being men is not the image that they want to portray of us. They've been constantly trying to emasculate and feminize the black male image. They want to, in any way possible, do that. But then if you think they're doing that, you don't think they're attacking the female image as well? There's nothing more beautiful in this world than a black woman. But they constantly hammer at our women to convince our women that there's something to aspire to outside of themselves when the very nature of God comes from within. There's something that we need to be understanding. There's another woman that goes over there and comes back. At least she made it back, thank God, because I get constant calls. And I've talked about this. There are multiple videos about black women going to the DR and not coming back alive, chasing something that, if that's what they absolutely have to, they could probably spend less with a good trainer and the right type of nutrition and achieve it. The big butt and everything can be done. I've stood up and watched it over the years. Luther Freeman made me a believer because I was always saying you can't create a butt, but yes, you can. The blood at its core, the glute. Now it's not going. Everybody's not going to look the same. That's the beauty about it. Everybody ain't supposed to have the same ass. And you know, and that's this big argument. Black guys are always saying they don't want this and didn't. No, that's always idiots. There are always men who don't know who they are that are chasing whatever they're told to chase. What I'm telling you is the man who knows himself. I'm telling you, I'm around a bunch of brothers on a regular basis. Thank God they've gotten me through some real difficult times in recent months. But I'm around. None of us want to see all that extra stuff that you're doing. Now, if you decide to do it, that's you. And I'm pretty sure somebody's out there that wants it. But I'm telling you, there are a bunch of men who are on their game, who are good dudes that just want you. They don't even, you ain't got to throw all that paint on it or nothing. I'm telling you, the natural hair without the makeup. Hey, do that thing. That's beautiful. But if you want to do something else to it, it's your life, it's your body. But what I don't want you doing is hurting yourself, trying to achieve an image somebody else told you was special. You are the standard. Do you get it? Now, if you're too If you're too overweight to be considered healthy, if it's over a size that is messing with your circulation, messing with your arterial health, messing with your heart health, causing other issues, then yes, you need to work on that. Get in the gym. Most importantly, control your nutritional intake, because you cannot outtrain bad eating. I'm telling you, most of my 50 pounds plus that I lost was the nutrition, because that was a time that I was just really, really going through it. I went a week without going to the gym and still lost that week. Why? Because number one, I cut out all fried foods, don't eat fried foods anymore, and I cut out sugar, no sugary drinks. And you're talking about the sweet tea king. Haven't had sweet tea in God knows how long. I was killing myself. And I had to understand this isn't about the six pack, but it's coming back. I'm feeling that, to be able to touch that and feel it and feel the rips and look in the mirror and see it. It's not what it used to be yet, but it's definitely coming back. But nobody's going to see that. I'm not the guy that walks around with my shirt off all the time. That's about me wanting to be healthy. That's about me wanting to not look up and be in an emergency room again. That's me sitting up saying, I'm not done in this world. There are some other things I need to do, and I can't rob my children, my grandchildren, eventually my great-grandchildren, and the people who are actually gleaning from me, the guys I'm mentoring, the people I'm helping. I owe my purpose to be my best and not render any excuses. But I do it healthy, in a healthy manner. I didn't do anything that was going to harm me in losing that weight. I simply followed a process that I understood. I've been teaching it for years. I know it. And instead of sitting up making an excuse why I can't do it today, why I'm going to do it next week, anybody can get caught up in that, no matter who you are. And I got caught up in the lie that I had to be on the grind, didn't have time for anything else. And because I'm on the grind, I don't have time to go find healthy food. I got to eat whatever's there. And I can't get to the gym because I got to put this 15 hours in. And I gave myself every excuse to die. And then I had to realize, if I die, all the stuff and the people I love that I say I'm doing it for, still without me. And still without my finished work. So I had to make up in my mind that I'm going to do it right. So again, here we go. When it comes down to health, yeah, I want you to be healthy. So if you're too heavy to be healthy, male or female, I want you healthy. I'm never going to sit up and call somebody fat. I'm going to discuss obesity in a professional way, but I'm never going to call anybody, because I'm not out to body shame anybody. I'm not out to attack anybody. We all have issues. We all have things we struggle with. There's nobody perfect. There's nobody that's got it all figured out. So that this isn't what this is about. This is about sitting up and saying, we got to love ourselves enough to be our best selves. And our best selves isn't going off and paying cheaply for something that's so dangerous that even if I paid full price for it, it isn't safe. That's the truth about it. Now, they don't advertise just how unsafe it is because they want your money. They don't advertise unsafe it is because they want you chasing it. They don't advertise unsafe it is because, hey, it's an industry now. We created another industry. We can suck them in and suck their money out of. And we're never going to invest back in the Black community with the money we take from them. So there are so many different levels to this. There's so many different angles to this. My concern is first and foremost the health of my people. We've got enough stuff. The food we eat on a regular basis isn't healthy. I can attest to that. So then that's the first thing. Then the stress levels that we live at as a people is probably the highest level of stress among any racial group because of the socioeconomic ills that the average Black family faces. That is another thing. Now, here's the thing. When I introduced you guys to epigenetics over a decade ago, I explained to you, not only does epigenetics talk about and show how multi-generational transmission of trauma happens through procreation, it also shows how stress environments create disease. Everybody has disease genes. And I know I'm a little bit off here, but I'm trying to get you to understand something. Everybody has disease genes. Everybody has cancer genes. The difference is we also have genes that are designed to fight things. That's how the body heals itself. That the body is actually designed to heal itself. When you put the body in an ideal situation, but an ideal doesn't just mean what you intake nutritionally. Ideal means that there's no stress, because if there's stress, the body is releasing cortisol. Cortisol in large amounts over a long period of time starts to break down organs and attacks the immune system, again, leading to illness. So you've got to be very careful about that. That's why long, hard workouts aren't that good, because eventually the body starts sensing the workout and the breakdown as a stressful encounter, and it releases cortisol. It also will tend to release adrenaline. So you have to understand that. But here's what I'm saying. You have to have an understanding that I can literally be in a stressful environment and upregulate my cancer genes. What does that mean? They're dormant, they're off, but you turn them on with stress. The most emphatic influence on cancer, and nobody's going to tell you this, is stress. You're upregulating cancer genes. And for any type of specific type of cancer, there's a certain amount of genes at a certain way that have to be on, and certain genes that have to be down regulated or turned off that would normally fight that form of cancer. And what happens is stress turns down disease fighting genes and turns on disease genes. A great deal of what we're thinking is because we're in the sun and we're living next to a plant, or because we ate too much of this. It's because we're too stressed. We look at this and we know this because of adverse childhood experiences. Adverse childhood experiences talks about stressful encounters or traumatic encounters of children. Every stressful encounter or traumatic or adverse encounter that a child experience that a child has is counted as an ACE, one adverse childhood experience. You got parents breaking up is an ACE. Parents being abusive physically, emotionally, psychologically, an ACE. Neglectful, an ACE. Parents addicted to any type of controlled substance, an ACE. A parent being incarcerated, an ACE. And there are 10 primaries. But if you get 4 ACEs as a child, then it has an long-term life effect on your health, even as an adult. We know that children with at least 4 ACEs are 12 times more likely to attempt suicide. There are 5 to 6 times more likely to develop ischemic heart disease. Ischemic heart disease is the #1 killer in the world, natural killer in the world. Also coronary heart disease, also attacks on the immune system. In other words, what you experience as a child in an environmental situation will have health impacts through your life. We understand this to be real now. It's called adverse childhood experiences. Look it up. But the thing is, you can have experiences through your life where you're stressed out. You're constantly stressed out. When you say you're stressed or worried to death, that's some truth to that. You're literally shortening your life by the experiences, and they are constantly flooding you. You don't need anything extra killing you. What we need to be doing is creating environments for ourselves where we're releasing that, because we have a natural ability to heal, but we're too stressed out. Can you imagine the power of healing, of loving yourself? Oh, it's powerful. You can literally feel it. You can feel the energy change when you stop looking down, when you stop feeling down, when you start to look at yourself and you start to realize, I am special. When you start to look at yourself and say, I am holding myself to a higher standard. When you look at yourself and you say, look, I am beautiful. I am handsome. I am capable. You'll start to feel different. You'll start to feel, it's literally your body releasing a lot of negative energy, a lot of negative vibration. There's so much to go. I can't get into all of that. But what I do want to encourage my people to do is to stop buying into suggestions that you've got to go into these highly invasive procedures to be beautiful. I've seen it on a number of stuff, and it's not just with BBLs. I'm talking about some of the things people are doing to their faces and thinking they're making themselves beautiful. There's something beautiful and natural about aging. And so I want you to really and truly start to love yourselves. I'm going to give you everything I have. I always have and I always will. Like I said, this is just one of 25. I've put my work in things, but I work with people directly. I speak to groups. I travel to do whatever I can. I've created a program called Black Men Lead that is so important for the socialization of young Black males, because we have 1.5 million men missing. And that a big part of socialization is modeling. We don't have enough models to see. And they are putting the worst of the worst in front of our boys. And we're wondering why we're producing emotionally unstable, highly volatile, and violent men. It's because we're not owning the responsibility. When we look at our women and we sit up and say, man, she's so much more than what she's presenting. She's putting her body out there and she's going, you know what? I got the body and that's going to get me the bag. Do you realize they got us so simplified and dumbed down now that you can literally summate it in several words: the body and the bag. They got the man chasing the bag because the man with the bag gets the woman with the body. And the woman is chasing the body because the woman with the body gets the man with the bag. And the only thing important in life is the bag. So if I'm a woman, I want the man with the bag. Forget the fact that I'm that I'm an exceptional genius in myself and I have will and drive. I can get it myself. Forget that. I'm going to get the man with the bag. But here's the problem. The man with the bag hasn't been taught anything else but chasing the bag. He doesn't understand respect. He doesn't understand love. He doesn't understand how to protect and cover. He doesn't understand the importance of his emotional stability and his ability to love. He doesn't understand the power of being a priest in his home. He doesn't understand the power of being a prophet in his home. And when I say prophet, I'm talking about a man who speaks over his family, a man who speaks to his family, a man who speaks for his family as a priest. I'm talking about that. We don't know that because all we know is I got to get the bag. Why? Because now they've got us believing that if we got the bag, we're a high value man just because we got the bag. We don't know how to talk to anybody. We don't know how to respect anybody. We're competing with each other to the point that we're destroying one another because we think that if he has the bag, I can't have it. We don't even understand that we literally possess the ability to create abundance in our world without having to take from anybody else, because that's what they created. We're feeding on each other because we don't know any better. Yeah, I want us to understand something. When your enemy has over 1,300 think tanks that explore everything from social engagement, finance, politics, sex, mental development, emotional development, parenting, all of this. They understand it and they know exactly how to move and operate with you. They sit up and create mechanisms to misguide you, to mislead you, to damper your power and your force in this world. You have a responsibility to know yourself, to discover yourself. Parents, it's our responsibility. We are the primary label givers of our children. Label givers are the ones who tell our children, you're beautiful, you're smart, you're exceptional, you're extraordinary. There's absolutely nothing in this world that you can't accomplish if you set your mind to it. We don't place limitations on them. We don't make them afraid of dreaming. We don't make them terrified of getting outside of the box. We demand it. We demand that they get out. We demand that they reach for the stars. We demand that they try. We tell them, you're going to fall. You're going to scrape your knees. You're going to get banged up a little bit, but you're built for it. You got to get up, baby. You got to go. You got to love. You got to learn. You got to drive. You got to push. You got to stand, because you have so much on you. You can't stop. The beauty of it is we're built for it, but we don't know it. We'll study looking outside of ourselves to be validated when the beauty and the power is within. I'm going to challenge every last one of you. Start to look within. Start to love. Start to help your friend. If your friend is talking about doing something that you don't think is healthy, I know we don't like to listen. I know we get mad and want to turn people off, but you owe it to them to speak the truth to them. You tell them now, if they still go out and do something, you stand vindicated because you've sit up and you've told them and you've been there. Don't co-sign BS. I don't even have yes men around me. You know why? Because I need men who are going to hold me to the fire. I need men who are going to call me on BS when I start tripping. I need men who are going to sit up and tell me, hey, that ain't what you said. That's the kind of people you need. People don't say, that's not your best, dog. Come on. Those are the people you need. Why? Because those are the ones that are going to hold you up. We want the people that just sit up and tell us whatever we're doing. Chocolate milk, that's the $1 million question. What I can tell you is the question is, how do you convince a collective of people who are walking around in a fog to even address some of these issues? You have to consistently put it there. Everybody's going to be awakened at a different time. Everybody's going to have their epiphany moment. Everybody's going to have that moment where they realize, you know what? I've been doing it wrong. You know what? There's got to be something better. Everybody awakens at a different time. The idea that there's going to be this mass awakening, I don't think it happened. I don't think it happens that way. I think that you've got to be such a catalyst that the people in your periphery are awakened. You got to be such a catalyst that you are such a contrast to what everybody's normal to, and they see that there's some benefit to how you move and how you live, and they decide to ask, man, how do you do this? What do you do? And it's the life that you're going to live. It's the way you speak, the way you move, the way you hold truth. I don't ever think that when I get on here that I'm going to say something and then the whole world is going to change. I don't think that. I think that there'll be times I'm talking and everybody's on here is looking at me going, here come this fool again. But what I got to do is I got to speak truth based off of what I've spent my life invested in knowing and learning. And I know that I'm planting seeds. Sometimes it takes months and years for seeds to gestate. There's a germination period for any seed planted. It doesn't just get planted and grow and sprout. You have to plant it. You have to water it. You have to nurture it. And see, we don't want that. We want some quick win. We want some quick fix. And those quick wins and quick fixes are killing us. The same mentality that thinks we can all fix this whole situation like that is the same mentality saying that I can go out and get this body for $5,000, for $7,000, and I'm going to have this look. I'm going to get this. And then I'm going to tell you something. The right man, he'll be attracted to external. But at the end of the day, what he's going to commit to is the spirit. Most people talk about your personality. No, that spirit. What's in your heart? One of my business partners, I can say her name. She's on one of the platforms that I'm streaming to. Tiffany Banks Parker talks mad crazy noise. You would think she's the meanest person in the world, but she has a heart of gold. Her spirit is pure. And, it has to be, bless her husband's heart, because she is who she is in that she's always trying to help people. And she got yap, but her heart, see, that spirit can't lie. That spirit won't mislead you. That spirit is going to tell you something. It doesn't mean that the person is perfect. Doesn't mean that the person isn't going to make mistakes. Doesn't mean that the person at some point won't upset you. But what it means is I can jive with a spirit that's true. I'll take my bumps and bruises with a spirit that's true. That's what a real man is going to look at, because that's where he's operating from. He's more than his bank account. He's more than the six pack. He's more than the smooth debonair dressing he's doing. He is the essence of manhood. And so he's looking for the essence of womanhood, and it's not in a BBL. It's not in a facelift. It's not in skin lightening. Sure, there's people like us going around here wishing we were dark, and y'all out there trying to lighten up. Man, embrace who you are, because it's a story. Your melanin and your genetic makeup is a story. It's telling a story of your history and your past, where you come from, who met who fell in love, who did what, whatever. It talks about something beyond what people can see and understand. Don't dodge your story chasing something somebody told you was special. You are special. No matter where you are, no matter how broken you feel you are, no matter what you've been through, you're special. You just got to discover it, and you got to start walking like it, talking like it, living like it. But you are. But you're never going to find that if you keep chasing what someone else is telling you has value and is destroying. That's for my brothers and my sisters. Look, I'm gonna get ready to get off of here. We have a lot to do, and it's not going to happen overnight. One of the things that I have said consistently in my writing, in my lectures, in my videos, is that we need men, and when I say men, I mean women too, but we need men who are willing to plant seeds that we may not live long enough to see come to fruition. We've got to get out of the mindset of needing a pat on the back. We got to get out of the mindset of needing external validation, someone to recognize and acknowledge what we've done. We need to be willing to sit up and build a legacy that's anchored in something that we may not get a chance to see in our lifetime. But if we laid the foundation, everyone who comes after us will still speak of us. That's a legacy. Your legacy outlives you. Your legacy says, man, if we didn't have him do this, then that. If she didn't do this, then we wouldn't have. That's legacy. That's what your children can live off of. Is a legacy. Your children can literally eat off your legacy. Your children can literally stand on your legacy. Your children can literally be empowered by your legacy. Stop trying to get the quick fix and start looking at how you can grow yourself and present yourself in a way that you're planning something. It may not come while you're here. You got to be okay with that. I learned a long time. I'm probably not going to see a bunch of the things I believe will happen, but I know I'm planting the seed. That's the challenge. Look, I'm going to get off of here. I didn't mean to stay this long, but I think it's important. You know, my prayers go out to that young lady, to her family, her kids. And that's the other thing. Most of these women that are going over there have families. It's a couple of them who went over there with husbands. These men lost their wives. And each husband that I've talked to personally begged them not to go. That's powerful. Your man is telling you you're beautiful enough for me. And there's something driving you deeper than that that says, I'm not happy with me. And that's the thing you've got to learn. You can love on a person all you want to. If they haven't learned to love themselves, your love won't be good enough. Your love won't be ample enough. It's got to be them. They've got to discover the greatness in themselves. They've got to discover who they are, and they have to be happy with it. That's you too, ladies. That you can't love him to a place he hasn't learned to love himself at yet. You're going to get your heart broken. You're going to get frustrated. You've got to let him discover himself. Now, you can sit up and you can facilitate it. You can be there. You never go down to where he's at, or you never go down to where she's at. You love from where you're at, but you can't force them to come there. They got to come on their own. But you've got to be the one that feeds it. You can't co-sign the BS. So I can't make you do something, but I'm not going to tell you what you're doing is right. I'm going to give you an honest opinion. I think that's not what's up. That's got to be who we are. On that note, look, I'm going to get ready to get out of here. Again, if you believe in the work that we're doing, look in the description box. There's going to be a link to show that you can donate and do the work, support the work we're doing. If you're one of the Cash App clan, the organization's Cash App handle is also in there. But again, much love and prayer go to every woman that's facing all of this bombardment that's driving this, because it's not healthy. It's not healthy. On that note, I'm out of here. You guys have an unbelievable remainder of your day.